So in this video, what I want to give you is a really quick way to assess your posture. Now, why is this important? Well, obviously, during our everyday activities, we spend a lot of time slouching, including me. We're all the same. So particularly if we're driving, sitting in a chair working, we're quite often like this. And generally, most people can get into what we call neutral alignment, which is perfect posture effectively. And having perfect posture enables you to do everyday activities optimally. Okay? But there becomes a point where you end up slouching so much that that bend in the top of the back, which we call hyperkyphosis, starts to become permanent. Eventually, it'll get to the stage where you really can never get back here. So it's really quite serious, because if you end up here, you think about it, you're not even going to be able to reach very far. So it does have a really detrimental effect on everyday life. However, once you're here, you can generally, with a few very simple interventions, be able to get back here. So I want to give you a very quick assessment that will enable you to identify when you're starting to get to that point. The point of, before the point of no return, but the point at which you need to put a little bit of intervention in to get your posture back, to prevent ultimately going past the point of no return. So this is it. It takes 2 seconds. There's lots of ways to do it, of course, like full neutral alignment analysis, but let's just have a very simple thing that we can do at home. On your knees, and what you want to do is to lower the pelvis so it's above the heels here, but not on them, okay? Then reach the arms forward, and then what you're going to do is just sink down so that the forehead and the nose are flat on the floor. It goes down here. Okay, now I'm going to lift my arm away so you can see my forehead and my nose are flat on the floor. Now, if you find that your forehead and your nose are not flat on the floor, you're starting to get to the point where you're not going to be able to get your posture back. And there's lots and lots of ways you can correct posture that needs intervention. But I'm just going to give you 2 very simple exercises that will certainly get you on your way and might even be sufficient, depending on how far you've gone out of alignment. So I'm going to use a bench, but at home you can just use a chair. I'm just going to pretend this bench is a chair. The reason I want you to do that is because you can sit right on the edge, on the base of the pelvis, and you can get really good alignment. A bit like sitting on a horse in a saddle. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to achieve good posture seated. And obviously, I'm thinking about the top of the back today. Let's see if we can get the bottom of the back as, well, I say straight. Neutral isn't quite straight. You've got a tiny dip there, but as close to that as possible. Then all you need to do, I don't know where the wings of the chair on your chair would be, but just reach back so that you stretch out the chest muscles. Because when you're bowed over, those muscles are activated all the time. They're constantly firing and contracting and not getting stretched. So you lose the ability to open the chest out. Now, if you're at this stage, you need to stretch the pecs, pectoral muscles, the chest, and the front of the shoulder, anterior deltoids, developmentally. So you need to hold this stretch for at least 30 seconds. Okay, and then you can release. And then you can do it again. Now, why not fit this in around your everyday life? If you sat in a chair working, every now and again, sit on the edge of the chair here and do this stretch. Now, conversely, these muscles are overactivated and getting tight. These muscles here, the opposing muscle group, are becoming very stretched and weak. So you need to work on the strength here. They're too flexible, as opposed to these being under flexible, if you like. So again, on your chair, take the arms out, shoulder height, and just squeeze the shoulder blades into the middle as far as you can. the elbows come back beyond the level of the back, so they're coming behind and forward. You can add weights if you want to. And again, I just recommend that you do this until exhaustion. And again, you can just slot it in around everyday activities. If you want to do this for a little less time, you can lie flat and do this so that obviously you're lifting up towards the ceiling, because you're then having to lift against gravity. It's slightly harder. So if you do this every day in combination with this every day, then that should help you get to the point where you can do the assessment I showed you earlier and get the forehead and the nose flat on the floor, and you know you're not losing your posture to the extent that you're not going to be able to get it back. Any comments, please do use the comments below and I'll answer everyone. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.